Hello and welcome to episode 2 of The Slime. I'm Diego Pizarro,
And Benjamin Smith.
and today we're going to be talking about The Last of Us, the end of an era. Yeah, we're going to be covering the brand new show from HBO, The Last of Us. We're also going to get into some Marvel news and another segment of So Bad It's Good. So, Ben, what are your first thoughts on The Last of Us?
Well, okay. It's a little complicated, my opinion, on this zombie genre. I want to talk about the zombie genre first of TV and movies because it's become incredibly oversaturated, and I really haven't spoken to anybody who still wants zombie movies and TV shows because we've gotten so many. And I get the general consensus that we just want something new, and we've seen all there is to see when it comes to zombie stuff. But The Last of Us is pretty great, and it's pretty different, and it feels different and has a nice grit to it. I liked it. Did you like it?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good. I'm not as familiar with the zombie genre. I mean, there's been tons of content made, whether it's The Walking Dead, Fear the Walking Dead, Zombieland, I Am Legend, World War Z, Dawn of Dead, Shaun of the Dead.
There's so much.
So, but honestly, I'm just not as tired of that genre because I'm not as familiar with it. I thought the show was good, moved at a really good pace. I think it went by
Yeah.
really quick.
It was a long episode, but it went by fast.
Yeah, for a very long, super long plot. It's basically a movie. It's basically like the first movie in a series of
and
movies is what it feels like.
It's just starting out, the plot here. It's going to be a slow burn, and we do like that. So we're pretty excited. There are some things here. We're not going to spoil anything here, but there are just some things we liked that we just wanted to chat about, and then we'll move through the rest of the show. Don't worry, guys. No spoilers here. But the show, it shows us the world that existed before this zombie outbreak, and it's done really well. It handles that initial panic that, oh, zombies are coming, there's an infection, and the news moves so fast, and that's really well done. What did you think about that specific aspect?
It sets it up really well, really without wasting your time.
Yeah.
And it explains it in a very eloquent, pragmatic way that just kind of gets you ready and kind of lets you just, when it starts, experience the world before this all happens. Really, really well. And you're kind of moving along with the characters because you kind of have an idea of what's going on. And they always say it's more effective in like a movie and a TV show when you know there's dread coming versus being just straight up shocked.
Yeah. And that tension building, you really do feel it, and it makes you consider, what would you do in this situation? And it's really realistic in that sense that it shows grounded, innocent life, and then how it changes once the zombie outbreak comes. How that is done in the show is fantastic, and it uses its time very well. What did you think of Pedro Pascal, this kind of huge new star in Hollywood? He had a huge breakout since he's been in Game of Thrones and The Mandalorian. I like him. What about you?
I think he's great. I think he's a great kind of action hero who can kind of work these kind of movies. I would say, I mean, we'll see more in the show. He's a bit one note for me. Like, I feel like he's kind of playing the same dude. Narcos, when he was in that.
Right, that's right. I forgot he was in Narcos.
That feels like a different guy. But The Mandalorian is a very one-note performance. And this one, even in this episode, we do get to see him explore a lot of different emotions, but I wouldn't say it's like as impactful as even some of the other actors in the movie.
Yeah.
But he's got a really great like classic action hero vibe, and I think he's perfect for the role and does a great job, and certainly better than Mark Wahlberg is in the same kind of situation, you know.
Yeah.
So he was a smart choice in my opinion.
Well, I watched him in Game of Thrones where he plays a Dornish prince, and he's really cool, cocky prince in that, which is really different than what he's like in this show and what he's like in The Mandalorian. So I have seen the range that he has, so I'm okay that he's just playing this kind of hard-headed, go-get-'em action hero, but that doesn't say too much. So I like him, and I'm excited to see where he takes this. We do have yet to see what the chemistry will be like between these characters. The episode kind of sets everything up for you, and now we're ready to see where they go from here. So I'm excited to see how these characters interact with each other, because that's a huge thing in The Last of Us, in the game. And as long as you get those themes right in the show, you don't have to follow everything perfectly to how the game does it. So I like that.
And we got to mention too, the show came out at kind of the perfect time.
Yeah.
In this post-pandemic era. I mean, we shouldn't really compare the COVID pandemic to what they're going through, because it's a whole other extreme. But some of the feelings that are displayed in the show are kind of relatable. Like just when the world starts to change. And, you know, I remember back in March where you kind of just come to this realization like, oh crap, you know, the world's starting to change and we have to adjust. And you kind of play on that. And I think it makes the show have that much more depth, and it just makes it that much more immersive.
Well, think about this. What if COVID was a fungus mind zombie body controlling? What if COVID wasn't what it was? And what if COVID turned people into zombies? The world would be destroyed right now. It's just a matter of something like that coming along.
Even
it's crazy.
This whole fungus thing, which is a real thing in ants.
Yeah.
And pre-2020, any kind of pandemic or any kind of outbreak like that was not in our minds at all.
No.
But now you're kind of watching the show, at least I was, and I'm like, oh, that could really happen. Like, because now you have a more pessimistic attitude to outbreaks happening.
So yeah, it was cool. It was great. We really enjoyed it, and I don't think we're gonna talk about every episode that comes on, but if there's a really crazy mid-season episode, or if the season finale ends up being really crazy, we could give our thoughts on that, but we're not going to do a play-by-play. You know, it's here, and we're just going to enjoy it for the next few weeks. It's really great to have this theatrical, high-budget show, because I really liked it. I'm excited.
Yeah, and I recommend it. Go and check it out. It's
for sure
fun, not too complicated to understand, but it's got enough depth to it that it's really enjoyable, and it held my attention for a long time. But here's the question. Is it the end of an era? Does it work?
Or is it the beginning of a new era?
That's a more positive way to look at it.
Are zombies coming back?
Glass half empty, glass half full. I don't know. You know,
is it the end of the zombie genre? Is this the one last hurrah to the zombie genre? Or is it showing us that we can still explore this genre and enjoy it? So we'll see where it goes from here, to be honest. But that's our thoughts on The Last of Us. We're going to start moving into some other things here. So yeah, we both enjoyed it, and if you think you will too, why not give it a go? On the topic of TV though, still, what about if we pit these two mediums against each other, TV and movies? What do you enjoy more, and what do you think is more powerful right now, TV or movies?
It seems like TV, and that's also what I was kind of alluding to with the end of an era thing, because, okay, this pilot is an hour and 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it's long.
Which is almost about the length of most movies.
Yeah, it's yeah.
Pretty much, right? Like, there's plenty of movies that are an hour and a half, right? And reality is, this format is getting a lot more investment. You look what they spent on House of Dragons, all the hype Stranger Things season 4 got.
The Lord of the Rings show too.
And you can explore more. You don't have to rush it. And at the end of the day, it's more convenient.
Oh, I love TV.
Yeah, people just seem less interested to going to the theater. And honestly, that's partly because, as we talked about in the first episode, there really isn't much going on in that way. So that's that interesting is TV.
We can enjoy everything from home. Whether there's not much going on at the movies, you can watch a movie at home. And if you don't feel like a movie, you just want to watch an hour, there's great TV to be watched also. So I don't know, they go pretty hand in hand. There's times where you sit down and you want to watch some TV, and there's times where you sit down and you got 2 hours to watch a movie. So I enjoy them both, but I think movies potentially aren't as strong when it comes to like diving into a character, a character study, character analysis. Like, think about like the evolution of a character of, like, let's say Walter White in Breaking Bad. We had how many seasons? I would say there's 5. Too many. Yeah, 5. It's shorter than you think. 5 seasons to explore this character. Mainly 5 seasons to explore 2 characters, 3 characters, main characters, and it gets a lot more done than movies do.
if Breaking Bad was a movie, like I can't even imagine. I mean, we kind of got that with El
You'd
Camino.
miss so much great stuff. Small stuff, but that is
Yeah.
important.
And we kind of, like I said, we kind of got it with El Camino, and that kind of came and went.
It was El Camino was just a compliment, you know. It just went well with the ending. It was like adding on to the finale, and that's what we want.
I haven't seen it since it came out. Just saying.
I watched it. I watched it again a couple months ago and love it. It's just like another episode, and it just shows you the show ended, and you kind of wonder, oh, what's going on with this character? And it kind of just gives you a light explanation. It doesn't paint the whole picture for you, but it's really great. So it's hard to say if I had to pick what I enjoy more, movies or TV.
Long form TV, easy for me. And it's
Yeah.
kind of easier for writers too, because you can have more time to get to know the character and more time to bring in that depth. You know, Breaking Bad hits so hard because you live with these people for season after
Yeah.
season, hour after hour. And you can do that in a movie. It's just, you got to be like really, really damn good.
Yeah.
And a lot of the action films that come out today, I wouldn't say we care about those characters as much.
Yeah, that's true. But I feel like I care more and have more of an emotional connection to characters in movies. And I think it's just because movies are more dramatic. They're more theatrical. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen more movies that pulled emotion out of me than TV shows that pulled emotion out of me. Some TV shows, they strike pretty hard and make you think. But when we're talking raw emotion, I think movies has it for me.
I don't know. Like, because
Yeah.
are
tell
you
me.
attached to the, I'll ask you this, are you attached to the art form and you hold it in that high esteem? Because I think
Maybe.
of TV shows that have, like a Breaking Bad, we keep bringing up, really hit me hard. But like I was talking with you earlier a couple of days ago about Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that show, you should really watch it. That
Yeah.
show immersed me more, scared me more, made me feel feelings more than most movies that I've seen
Yeah.
in a theater very recently. You know, so I feel like because we have that time, it just makes, when those scenes come, it makes them hit that much harder. And I'm not discounting your opinion; you're entitled to
for
it.
sure.
But I feel like for a lot of people, there's just that attachment to cinema is on a
Yeah.
pedestal and is like this kind of high art. And TV is starting to
Yeah.
get seen as that, but it's not seen on the same level as cinema. But I kind of think it is at this
Okay,
point.
well, I just watched a couple weeks ago Good Will Hunting, and it turned me into a wreck. I was a wreck, and it hit kind of close to home, and there were themes and parts of that movie that it didn't directly relate to me, and I don't have issues like that, but it felt like they were my issues, and it just hit close to home. And there was a scene where the tension, the emotional tension was building, and once it hit, I had tears rolling down my face. Like, I've watched movies where I tear up, but my face was swollen. I was crying. It was crazy. I've never had that kind of response from a movie or any sort of media together. So I guess both can do it. Both can do it extremely well in certain situations.
Or is it? I feel like a movie like Good Will Hunting, you can kind of do that because the whole movie is focused on
Yeah.
those deep character connections and the, you know, being emotional, right? But if you're talking about a movie like, I don't know, Avatar, like the Star Wars movies, or a
Yeah.
TV show like Breaking Bad, there's a whole bunch of other stuff happening,
Yeah.
right? So
It's distracting.
yeah, if you're doing a movie with a ton of events in it, I feel like that works better in a long form TV format because, okay, not only can we do all these crazy events and action and whatever, but we can also spend time on the characters, and you
Yeah.
can kind of do both, and you have time to do it. Now, Good Will Hunting, that probably wouldn't work as a show because
No, but maybe it would pull more emotion because I would get to know this character a lot more over the hours and hours that a TV show has to offer you.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. I almost feel like the ultimate model is just a mini series.
Yeah, I love miniseries. They're great.
Because a show, its shelf
They
life,
know what they are.
yeah, you know, but like a show, its shelf life 5 to 7 seasons, and I'm kind of starting to get tired of it. That's personally just me. It usually peaks at most at like 7 seasons, and then after that, it's kind of plateaus or goes downhill.
You got to be on your way out once you hit 6 or 7 seasons. You got to have an end in mind. or you'll end up like The Walking Dead. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're going to move on to some Marvel talk because we got some news and we kind of want to cover some Marvel news. So this week we're going to be talking mostly about Ant-Man and the Agatha show. The Covenant, what's it called? Covenant of Chaos. Agatha,
Yes.
the Covenant
of Chaos.
Yes. So this show will be picking up directly after WandaVision, which
Right
makes
from that episode.
it makes sense, and I think I'm excited. It's interesting because a couple months ago I was like, where is all this going? How does all of this relate to anything? But after seeing Doctor Strange and Spider-Man and seeing this multiverse open, same with Loki, I'm pretty excited. I know you enjoyed WandaVision, right? So are you excited for Agatha because of WandaVision?
Like, they're just, it's so hard to care. For me, it's just so hard to care. It's just so much stuff out, and I'm just kind of desensitized to it. I did like WandaVision, but then they didn't quite stick the landing. And then that made me kind of skeptical of trying any of the other shows. And lately, you've only been hearing kind of bad things. And it's just a sea of Marvel. So it's like,
No, it's bad.
I've been saying, like, Marvel could make Citizen Kane, and there's a good chance I wouldn't even care. Because it's just like, I'm just kind of, it's kind of fatigue with it, right?
Yeah.
But it could be good. I'm not here to judge it and say it's going to be terrible or anything.
And I totally get that. I've watched every Marvel show that has come out.
God bless you.
I know, man. Even when I don't like the show, I still watch it. And if the show feels like a chore, it's not good. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
You got to be excited. You got to look at the runtime of the episode halfway through and be like, "Damn it, there's only 10 minutes left." And if you're like, "Oh, there's 15 minutes left." You're like, what are you doing to yourself? And the last few shows I've been feeling that way.
Not to take it too off the rails, but you'll watch She-Hulk, but you're not going to watch Better Call Saul. I'm just saying.
Yeah. He's
saying.
coming at me right now. I will watch Better Call Saul, and I know it's immaculate and incredible. But I don't know. Maybe it's just because I grew up on Marvel, and Marvel is it. Everyone, the conversations online, on Instagram, on Twitter. I'm kind of online invested in this Marvel community, so when other people are chatting about it, I have to watch it.
No, and you're dedicated, and I respect that. I don't have that same
Yeah.
emotional attachment to Marvel, so I'm less inclined to put myself through a show that I know I'm probably not going to like.
Yeah, it is what it is at this time. They are getting hits. I mean, there's some really great Marvel movies out there, but the Agatha show will premiere this year. Late 2023 is what it's slated for, and it officially started filming in Atlanta January 17th, so just a couple days ago. I'm pretty excited. I don't, what am I supposed to say about this Agatha show? Like, I don't know what it will have to offer to this. It's hard because right now we're gonna start moving into talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp, because that movie looks huge. And like when you have a show like Agatha also coming in 2023, it's just wonders what you get excited for the huge Marvel movies, and then there's these lower, small, quieter Marvel shows, and they don't really compare to these huge spectacles. You know, you got small shows and huge spectacle movies. How are they supposed to stack up against them?
And again, at the end of the day, Marvel is about the big grand spectacle. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a bit of a waste of time to do small shows, right? But I mean, I think what they could do in this Agatha show, if they really play up like a fantasy element, that could might be
Yeah.
able to separate it, and that could be really cool. They kind of hinted a bit at that in WandaVision,
cool.
from what I remember, and that was pretty cool.
So when the Marvel movies first started coming out, like Thor was like Shakespearean, and like Iron Man was punk, you know, and Captain America was like a tribute to like America and pridefulness and standing for something. All these original Marvel movies had some identity, And I feel like the newer ones don't as much. But if like Agatha is gonna be some fantasy show, that is kind of getting back into like why I first started to like Marvel. I want everything to feel a little different. And, you know, we get shows like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which I liked. It was a good show, but it didn't feel a lot different than some of the other generic stuff. Same with Black Widow, you know. It didn't have a lot of substance there that had its own identity. Like being a fantasy show or a punk movie or a Shakespearean movie. I want that back again in Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, they were, like, at the end of the day, they were still straight up high budget action movies, but they had a vibe that they brought in that was kind of different.
Yeah.
And I feel like with these newer phases, it's more of an assembly line thing now, because now they have this formula for success, and it's like, let's just get it out. Go, go, go,
Yeah,
go, 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 go.
Green
Whereas in the early 2010s, they were trying stuff out, trying to figure out what worked. It was the early days, and there's a lot more room for experimentation. I think they have way more of a clear idea of what works and what they want to do. And I think that contributes to some of the new content feeling kind of samey.
So Ant-Man is the beginning of Phase 5 for Marvel, which makes me think, damn, Phase 4 might have been one of the weakest phases in Marvel.
Yeah, I'm like, it came and went again. All I heard was
The
bad
phase
news
that
about
follows Endgame was destined to be doomed, you know?
it. Yeah, well, that at least right now, that seems like the peak. And it's hard to see them topping that.
There was listen, guys, there was great stuff in Phase 4. Don't get me wrong. There are some projects I really liked.
No Way Home.
Yeah, No Way Home was
fun.
great. Loki, I loved. I think that's your favorite show too, out of the Marvel movies, was it? Or Marvel
Yeah,
shows?
Loki I liked.
I
Looking
liked
back, there's things I didn't like, but I enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, it was good. But, you know, Moon Knight didn't excite me. Miss Marvel, I was kind of into, but overall didn't really excite me. Hawkeye wasn't bad. I watched it takes place around Christmas and it's fun. There are some cool characters that show up. Wasn't bad. I liked it. Loved Shang-Chi. I thought Shang-Chi might be the best Phase 4 thing, actually.
I saw it in theater, and I'm not going to lie, it didn't totally stick out to me.
Yeah.
And I've rewatched it like once or twice,
Yeah.
but the action was
It was cool.
really good, and that brought a new element to it. That was something different.
Yeah. And when they do that, I'm happy. I don't even have to like it, and I'll suggest it to you because I know it's great, it's good. Like if something doesn't jive with you, that's okay, but give it credit for where it earns it, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, Phase 4 was I guess, but I'm excited for Phase 5, and Ant-Man is kicking that off, and you've seen the trailers for this. What do you think? I'm a huge Marvel guy. You're kind of tired of it, and I'm hyped for the next Ant-Man. What about you? How are you feeling?
I'm like cautiously optimistic. I don't think I get as excited. When I saw the trailer in the theater, when I went to see Avatar, actually, I'm like, this looks cool. And to see them going into the quantum realm,
Yep.
that seems interesting, and a lot of cool visuals. And
Look at you. You know what the quantum realm is.
yeah, I know. I
at
do
you
my
go.
homework. I do my homework. You know, I don't follow everything exactly, but you got to be informed. That looks cool to kind of go into, and that's kind of this enigmatic thing that hasn't been too explored yet. So that
Yeah.
can bring a new element into it, right? And I liked the first Ant-Man a lot.
Ant-Man's
Ant-Man and the
cool.
Wasp was okay.
Ant-Man and the Wasp sucked, bro.
I thought it's all right. From what I remember, maybe if I watched it again, I could pick apart more. I'm less critical on first watch, unless
It was
it's really bad.
It was just generic to me, and it didn't capture the essence of the first one, which is unbelievably hard to do. You know, sometimes movies are made and they have a certain tone to them that wasn't meant to be. And then trying to replicate that tone again can be really difficult. And one of the Marvel movies that does it kind of well was Guardians of the Galaxy, and the second one is liked. People like it a lot, but nowhere near as much as they like the first one. Why do you think that is? Is it because it feels the same but a little different?
It feels like there's less of James Gunn identity. It just feels less separate. I think it feels more like a big budget action Marvel movie. But the first one it's kind of hard to put your finger on what is
Yeah.
different, but it just feels different. It just felt more in line with what was to be expected. I think And I don't know, it is hard to top Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 because nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, that was cool when that movie came out.
Yeah, I was like, what is this movie with the raccoon in it? And
Yeah.
I was like, what is this going to be? I didn't think it would go
The
anywhere.
power Marvel has to just put something in front of you and become known worldwide.
And I saw it and I was beyond impressed. It's like one of my favorite
Yeah.
movies in the MCU, if not my favorite. But yeah, like it's hard to put your finger on what was different about it.
We
And
got the third one coming for that too.
yeah, cool playlist volume 3.
Yeah, we're
Who's
gonna
ready
have
for it?
we're gonna have a lot of fun here on this podcast when the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out. We're gonna have some good content headed your guys' way for that.
And I just got to say, I loved the first Ant-Man. That's got its own
Yeah, it was
identity, as you were saying.
cool.
That's a really great one, and it's kind of a dark horse
Yeah.
in the MCU.
So I'm excited. I feel like Phase 4 kind of played it calm and cool, and there's going to be a spike in the stakes when it comes to the next Ant-Man, Quantumania, because Loki introduced this villain, but we're getting our first on-screen appearance of Kang the Conqueror, who is a multiversal villain, and he's different than Thanos in almost every way. And everyone is just hyped to see this new villain and how he's gonna take over Marvel. And I can already tell you, like, when I'm watching the trailers, I'm just looking for this baddie. I'm looking for this bad guy. I just want to. He looks like he's gonna capture every scene he's in.
Yeah, and I got to say, can we just give kudos to Marvel that quote-unquote nerd culture has become so popular that movies about a multiverse is a mainstream thing?
Yeah, it's cool to like this stuff now.
Yeah, but the fact that that's even like, they're like, okay, the big seller this year, it's going to be a movie about a multiverse. Like, that
Yeah.
you would have been crazy even 10 years ago to even think like that.
And they can do anything now. Now that this multiverse has opened,
Yeah.
right? We could, who knows? Maybe there'll be a DC Marvel crossover because the multiverse. That's the only explanation we need now.
They just got to be careful because it's getting so
Oh, yeah.
cluttered, and that's how you lose people. But so far, they've proven me wrong because they haven't quite yet. But, yeah, like, can you imagine DC versus Marvel? That could be like a real mess if they don't play it right.
It is hard to imagine a Marvel versus DC movie done well. That is so complicated to pull off. And I don't know who would have to be involved to make something like that happen on both sides of Marvel and DC. But man, that could be the biggest movie of all time.
Hey, DC's probably killing for it. They would
I
probably
know,
love it.
but okay. I didn't really want to get into it. We're gonna get into this on another episode, but James Gunn is leading the DC universe now.
Yeah.
He is putting down some stones as to where the DC universe is moving forward, and I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of retcons, or maybe he's going to just keep going with it. Maybe I don't know, but James Gunn is at the helm of this DC cinematic universe now, and that is super exciting because we are fans of his stuff.
Yeah, he's great. And I will say about the DCU, I have a prediction that years from now it's going to be really fun to look back on, because Marvel will know is like a big success. You know, Marvelous Marvel, everything did well. The movies kind of followed this through line, but DCU is going to be like, look at all this weird stuff they tried. Look at all
Yeah,
this stuff they tried.
They were desperate.
Yeah, they tried this, but I think that's going to be fun to look back on.
Yeah.
20 years from now, 10 years from now. Like, it'll be fascinating to go back and watch all those movies with hindsight.
True. I don't know. It just makes me excited, the superhero genre, to be honest, just to see where it's going. But that brings me to the point of, is the Marvel hype dying, or is it just beginning also?
Yeah, it's definitely not dying. Definitely not dying.
We thought it was there for a bit, but then Endgame hit and it died down a bit with Spider-Man Far From Home. But then Spider-Man No Way Home came out and absolutely exploded.
Yeah.
And the shows seem popular enough, so it's still kicking. Even like She-Hulk, it's not really well liked by the general public, but it's still huge news.
Yeah, it's
And
still talked about a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to go anywhere without, well, it's died down now, but when it was coming out, it was hard to not hear about it. Even if something isn't liked, it's still in the headlines, the entertainment headlines. So
It feels like at most it's like plateauing.
Yeah.
I could argue that maybe we're past the peak, but there's also to consider that okay, yeah, Marvel's still the biggest thing in the theaters right now, but it's also one of the only things in the theaters right now. So that's also why
Yeah,
it's going to seem like it's the biggest thing too.
how many Marvel projects do we get in a year? 6 now, 6, 7 movies in a year. It's movies and shows in a year, and it looks like they're gonna keep that number climbing. And I hope they don't. I would take 2 Marvel movies a year if they were effing amazing.
Yeah, that's
You
But
know,
what
I don't
else are they
need
gonna
8
make?
Marvel things.
it's just what else are they going to make?
I don't know.
That's
I
like
know,
the tough
I
thing,
know,
right?
because they got such a huge thing now, like the production and the writers and the editors, directors, planners, storyboards, artists. The amount of departments and people involved in the Marvel Cinematic Universe is absolutely insane. Now you got to keep them working, which means you got to keep generating money to pay them, which means you're going to keep generating TV shows so people will keep subscribing to Disney Plus. And that is the machine of Marvel right now.
Yeah, like what else are they going to do? Like Pixar movies? Those are maybe the only other things that.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
Star
it's all
Wars,
under the
that's it.
same hood now.
Yeah, right. And those like the only other things I can see Disney releasing that does really big money. I'm sure maybe I'm missing something, but like Pixar and Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's also why Marvel still feels like it's massive because it's kind of one of the only things that's even doing well in theaters. But yeah, to conclude, the hype is not dead. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, we're going to keep talking about Marvel. I think something that's going to be reoccurring on this podcast is talking about Marvel because it's an interesting dynamic because I love Marvel and I'm super excited and Diego's kind of just watching it unfold. You know, he couldn't be bothered.
No
to go.
stake in how this turns out. I'm just watching and taking notes.
Let's be honest. You wouldn't mind if you didn't go see Ant-Man.
Yeah.
Do you want to see it or would you care if you missed it?
Well, now I'm doing a podcast where I cover entertainment, so I
have to see it
definitely am
now.
going to go see it. But yeah, if we're just talking on whether I'd want to see it, like, yeah, I wouldn't be too annoyed if I missed it. It's not that I hate Marvel. You know, if they keep doing well, that's great. It's just I don't have an emotional stake in it anymore. A lot of the emotion is removed.
That's okay. Let me just tell you, you want to see it because I think it's going to be crazy. But anyway, that's enough for the Marvel stuff. You know, we're talking about Marvel all the time here. That's okay, though, because people like it. But we're going to move on to So Bad It's Good.
Yeah.
our weekly segment here where we talk about a movie that is so bad it's pretty good. Or even something that is good but cringy, but you enjoy it. Or a guilty pleasure, something that is controversial or whatnot. So bad it's good. This week, what are we doing it on?
The Terrifier.
The Terrifier.
You know, that classic Halloween movie. It's a cheesy slasher movie that knows what it is and it's good at being that, right? That's the way I would summarize the movie.
The Terrifier is a 2016 slasher horror film, and it was a low budget movie. And it kind of feels like a student film, and the acting isn't that great. The story isn't that great. The cinematography is not that great. The music is, you get the point. It's not
Yeah.
that great, but we love it.
Yeah,
And
I like it.
it's become beloved. It's become a cult classic in the horror genre in recent years. You know, it's really cool, and it follows this dark, twisted mime named Art the Clown, and he's on a killing spree. And guys, that's it. That's all this movie is.
That's all it needs to be.
Yeah, and
Who's
that's why
every-
people like it.
What's the, like, look at any other the successful slasher film. The original Halloween. Pretty basic plot.
Yep.
It's just about him going to kill some people. And then once it gets deeper, people kind of tuned out. You see these new Halloween reboots? Very simple. Straight to the point, especially the first one. Basically a rehash of the original with kind of a new element brought to it, right? So, like, I kind of just think Terrifier knows what it is and it's good at doing that.
Yeah. The budget of this movie, The Terrifier, was $35,000.
Yeah.
$35,000 to make a movie.
Good for them.
Good for them, man. They made something that is really popular. And the stats here I have, The budget was 35,000 and it pulled 76,000 in the box office in Russia. I'm not sure why it's telling me that, but definitely made its money back and became a big thing. And they made a sequel, which I can talk about a little bit for you guys, but we're here to talk about the first movie because it's something if you haven't seen and you want to see something dark and twisted, just look at this guy. I'm just looking at pictures of this mime, this clown that is slashing people in this movie, and it is one of the scariest characters I've seen in cinema, I think.
He's very creepy looking, and he's developed a real good cult following. The movie didn't need box office numbers because now it just sells merch with Art the Clown's face on it.
Give me an Art the Clown action figure.
Yeah, and it's just like a good cult following that they can continue to make money off for years and years. We'll go to Fan Expo and see like probably a billion things with him on it.
This guy's popping off
right
now.
So
we like it, and I'm gonna definitely suggest it to you guys. Just know what you're getting into. Know you're sitting down to watch an objectively bad movie.
And get ready for some gore if you're squeamish.
Oh, it is the worst you've ever seen. I promise. It is crazy gory.
But like that to me is part of the biggest appeals of the movie. Like it really just captures the pure senselessness of a serial killer and just the brutality. Like I'm pretty good with gore, but when I first watched that movie, some of the scenes shocked me. Some of the kills just really blew me away. Was not expecting it at all.
I'm trying to think of the word here. It's like dehumanizing, or it's just the way he like embarrasses his victims or mutilates them. It's just so vile, and it's definitely for you or definitely not for you. That's how this is. You might watch it and think it's bad, and you're not wrong. It is bad, but people like it because it's so bad. It's so bad is good.
Exactly, and but you can pick kind of a way to watch it because we're saying it's so bad it's good. You can laugh when they're delivering lines, and there are some really ridiculous lines in this movie.
Cheesy.
But and then when it's time for the the kill and the scary part, well, then you get into that mindset. I think you can kind of balance that really well.
Yeah, just know what you're getting into and take it for what it is. You just want to watch a mindless, senseless horror film, then watch The Terrifier.
And I got to give it to, it definitely looks like a B movie, but I feel like that's also part of the aesthetic. I feel like that's what they were going for. And I like how it uses darkness. Like it's really dark, the set pieces and how everything looks. And that really keeps you on edge. Like, is he going to pop out? Is he coming out here?
And the reason it is different in the way that it tackles horror, because it's shot like a student film, and that it doesn't feel like a traditional movie. It just feels like someone recording with their phone or someone with a cheap camera. That's what it feels like, and that kind of evokes like the sense that this is real and that it's more grounded in the real world.
Gritty. It brings like a rawness to it that if it had that kind of sheen of like a big budget, I don't think it would be as effective.
So the second movie does capture that. I've seen the second movie. Diego hasn't seen it, and I don't really want to talk about it because I didn't like it. And it tries to expand the plot and bring in other characters and center around other characters. It tries to give a story and a plot to Art the Clown, and that's not what we came here for.
No. I don't want to know about the characters. Like, they're pieces of meat that are there to be killed.
And we know that. We know that. So, yeah, they should have kept it simple with the second one and should have just gave us more of what we wanted other than trying to overcomplicate things, in my opinion. But the first one is solid, and we're recommending it to you guys. Definitely around the Halloween season. If you want to save it for then, you definitely should.
It's perfect for that. And, I feel like it would be really atmospheric too to like watch it and then go like walk around at night. If you really wanted to get in and like scare yourself.
No thanks.
Some people do that. Like some people will watch Halloween and like leave on Halloween and leave candy on the porch so they'll hear people walking on the porch.
And it's great though. I like that.
And they'll turn all the lights off, and then at the end of the night they'll look across the street to the house. Like I've heard of people doing this. Yeah. And I'm like, So if you're really into that too, it's a really it'll freak you out, and it creates a good atmosphere.
What have you thought about horror in the horror genre in the past couple months, years? Have you seen anything good?
I gotta say this about horror that needs more credit.
Yeah.
You think in the age of the internet and all this cheap technology being available, we'd have so many independent films that get cult followings and are huge.
Yeah.
And that's just not really happening. But
Yeah.
you know where it is happening? Horror.
In the horror genre.
We got Terrifier. If you want to go way back, even like 2007 Paranormal Activity, that got really
It was the
popular and has
start
a
of new
huge following.
franchise.
And it's like not from a major studio.
Yeah.
And there's no other genre that's doing that. And the mainstream horror movies, for the most part, don't really get the same following these days. It seems to be a lot of the independents that make the impact now.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a couple of the horror movies in the past couple months. I saw Pray for the Devil, which was some sort of exorcism movie. That was terrible. I gave it a 2 out of 10. That was my score. And then I saw Smile. Smile was really popular. You heard of Smile, right?
Yes.
I loved it. It was great. And most people like that too. So it's hit or miss. One of these episodes, I'm going to tell you about more about, because I'm kind of experienced when it comes to these guys. A24, the production company that makes movies. They're really different, really grounded, and if you want to watch movies that feel like they're trying to get back to the art form of movie making, watch a couple movies from A24. I'm going to pitch this to you guys in a couple episodes, but it kind of fits in here because they do horror movies and they do them well.
Well, and it's a good point because even the Terrifier feels like that.
Yeah.
It's just horror fans having a great time making a horror movie and going like all in. That's what you like to see.
Making a movie. And because the movie's so bad, I feel that watching it, though. I feel that people had fun making this, and I feel like the people who made this movie are passionate about making movies.
Yeah, exactly. And it's cool to see kind of horror be the last bastion of the independent thing.
It's a quote from Tarantino himself, not a direct quote, but he said something along these lines that if you're a fan of movies and cinema and you want to make a movie, you can't help but make a good movie. If you're passionate about film and filmmaking and you want to make a movie, and you can't help but make a good one because you know what's important to you when watching a movie. And if you're passionate, you're going to put that into your own movie. So
yeah, and like I said, I just love that this movie has gained a cult following, even though it's such a small...
It deserves it.
Like Smile, yeah, it's got a lot of hype, but that has yet to be seen if that's going to have the same lasting power that Terrifier does. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But I think people should just be into the fact that some of these really low-budget horror movies have really held up and have got a following over the years.
I wish Smile was more of a budget film, but it was distributed by Paramount Pictures, so a bit of a higher budget there, and a bit of a higher budget when it comes to casting and everything, but they did a really great job. It's got a 6.6 on IMDb, which is okay. Rotten Tomatoes, it's got an 80, so some people don't like this stuff and some people do like it, but hey, I like it and I think it's good. And I'd recommend Smile if you want to watch a recent horror film.
Did you see The Black Phone? Or
No,
what was the
man, I
movie
want to
called?
watch that movie. I haven't seen it. Have you?
No, but it looks really good. It looks...
Okay. Neither of us have seen it, but
So we really shouldn't be talking about it. But I don't know, a couple of these, maybe horror's making a comeback, because from what I saw, these movies did look... Smile and
Nope.
The Black Phone looked in... Nope.
That's
too.
kind of
Nope
a horror
was
film.
really good.
Thriller. It's a thriller.
Yeah. We'll
We'll throw
count
them in
it.
the same basket, horror and thrillers, because if you like one, you like the other.
Well, Nope's a breath of fresh air.
I liked Nope too. Nope was so good. Well, I watched it in the theater and I loved it because it didn't have, it wasn't structured like your normal movie. It kept me guessing. I didn't know where it was going to go. I didn't know what the next scene entailed. It just felt different. It was a little unpredictable. Like where it should just start, a scene should follow another scene. It's just boom, it flashback, and I didn't know it was a flashback. It jolts you around a little bit, and I liked that. It was a bit unpredictable. Loved Nope.
And the trailer didn't spoil everything.
Facts.
You know, like that. Like I remember, I think like people were just scratching their heads when you saw it in theater and just like, nope. And people are like,
Yeah, they're like, what the
was that?
hell is this?
That's a weird movie. And
But you want to go see it.
yeah, that's what you want. You don't
So,
spoil the best scenes right in the trailer, you know?
But then you have Halloween Ends, and it kind of ruined the entire franchise and left a bad taste in your mouth. So there are hits and there are misses, and I think that's just the way we got to look at things now.
Yeah, but Halloween will never die. I swear they can mess up.
Yeah.
They literally made a movie without Michael Myers, and they're still coming out with movies that make money. So I feel like they're kind of immune. They kind of can just do whatever.
Yeah.
And the brand is so strong.
But no, I mean, in conclusion for this week, talking about TV with you made me excited for TV. It made me see that I love TV. And even talking about the horror and thriller genre, that kind of carries my passion for movies right now, thrillers. They evoke a lot out of me, and they get me really intrigued. So I'm really excited for what's to come. And I'm excited to have this podcast now. We got an outlet where we can just talk about stuff we love. And I'm excited to do that.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're all excited for what's to come.
Yeah, I think that's all we got for you guys this week. We'll be right here again for you next week with another episode of The Slime. I just want to thank you guys for listening, for supporting the launch of this show. We're really enjoying doing it, and you're definitely going to get a 10-episode concluded season of The Slime.
But we're going consistent. We're going to do this.
We're here for you guys every week. So,
and if you're here for episode 2, you rule, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. If you're here for episode 2, you rule. If you're starting with episode 2, you rule. If you watched 1 and you watched 2, you rule. Just thanks for coming out and supporting the show, guys. So that's all. And we'll see you next week.
Yeah. See you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.